All right, we're going to do 10.4. This is for the day we have a substitute. So you're just doing the last half of 10.4. We did the first part last time. Basically, this is kind of a review of what's going on. We're going to fly through this pretty quickly, and so I can get some examples of the homework, and then you're going to work on the homework. So mid-segment of a trapezoid. We've discussed mid-segments before. It was the segment that goes through the middle of the trapezoid. The formula for it is on your cheat sheet at the bottom left corner. So a mid-segment of a trapezoid is base 1 plus 2 over 2. So if you recall from the picture, we had it that looked more like this. We had a trapezoid, something like this, and the mid-segment was the one that went right through the middle. Okay. For us, we just need to know that the mid-segment formula. Again, everything from today will be on your cheat sheet somewhere. There is no excuse. It will be on your cheat sheet or it will be in your notes. So we find the formula. We know that base 1 and base 2 are 5 and 11. That was given to us in the problem. So I plug those both in and I say 5 plus 11. Well, it gets me 16. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. My answer is 8. Okay, don't have a lot of time to focus on that, but there's a problem like that in your homework. Let's see. Formula given, substitution, simplify. Write that in. You're going to see that a lot today. So it says if A is this point and B is this point, then find AB. Okay, well, AB, find AB. Notice there's no symbol above it. When there's no symbol above it, that means the length. That means we're looking for the length of AB. Again, I come over here, I find my cheat sheet right here, and I start looking for find AB. It's right here, the distance between 2 points, ST. For this one, it's ST, but for us, it's going to be AB because it's the points we're using. Either way, it's right here on your cheat sheet, the distance formula. We've got to use the points AB to find out our given information. You know, x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we're going to substitute all that in. Notice how the y value goes where the y2 is. The y1 goes where the y1 is. And now I've got this nice big long square root. Well, we're going to do order of operations. I take care of the insides of the grouping symbols, the parentheses. I end up with 1 squared plus negative 1 squared. Well, that's just 1 plus 1, which is the square root of 2. So the distance between AB is the square root of 2. Feel free to leave it as just the square root. No real specific instructions, just the square root of whatever you get. If you'd like to, you could simplify your radical however you'd like. You know, remember how we did the split, and it was like a 3 and a 3, so we grouped it and brought it out in the front. You can do that. Practice. You're going to have to do it here a little bit anyways. So this one now asks for the find the slope. Okay, this is going back from algebra. Finding the slope between 2 points. All right, we know the slope formula is on our cheat sheet. It's right here, the slope formula. So with that, we can now talk about plugging it in. I know that my x1, y1 is right here. My x2, y2 is b. I assigned those. I substitute them into their place, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. When I do this, negative 3 minus negative 2, that becomes a big giant plus sign. So negative 3 plus 2 gets me to negative 1. And 2 minus 1 is obviously just 1. So I have to simplify it down to be negative 1. That's my slope. So now, that's a great example of what you're going to see on the homework. If we keep going on, feel free to pause the video whenever you need to. Most of the instructions have been the exact same. Formula, given, substitute, and simplify. Which is the case here. Look, we have if A and B are those points, we want to find the midpoint of the line segment. So here's my midpoint formula. It comes right off of our midpoint formula off of the cheat sheet right here. Here's the midpoint formula. We use this formula by plugging in for x1, y1, and x2, y2. So they're giving information. They told us this. Now all we got to do is substitute that information in. Well, my x1 is 1. My x2 is a 2. So we have 1 plus 2. And then we have negative 2 plus negative 3. Well, when I add 1 and 2, I get to 3. And when I add negative 2 and negative 3, I get to 5. So it's negative 5 halves. Figure simplifies your last instructions. And we're done. We found the midpoint right here. Now it says to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Again, on your cheat sheet, slope-intercept form is given to you. Right here, slope-intercept. Okay. we're going to use the formula y equals mx plus b. Well, we know what the slope is. We found that out last time. The slope between those 2 points is -1. Now we're going to use one of these points to plug it in for x and y. So we take the substitution. We plug in our slope. Now we're going to substitute again into the x1 and y1. So our -2 here is going to get plugged in for y. And the 1 gets plugged in for x. Now I have -2 equals -1 times 1 plus b. And I'm going to solve for b. I do the multiplication. I add 1 over here, right, plus 1. And end up with b is equal to -1. And since b equals -1, that's exactly where we're going to put it. We fill in our entire equation. We substitute. Y equals -1x. That's where the slope comes from, -1. Minus 1, because that's what b is. And we've got our final equation. Y equals -1x minus 1. Okay, 10.37. Justin declares that a triangle has sides of lengths 3, 8, and 10. Is it a triangle? Okay, first guess is it a triangle? We have to use the triangle portion, or the Pythagorean theorem and converse, right here off of our cheat sheet. It's only a triangle if A and B are bigger than C, where C is the longest side. So let's go ahead and focus on that for the first part. We've got triangle inequality is our reason for why it is a triangle. Because 3 plus 8, well, that's 11. 11 is obviously bigger than 10. So yes, it is a triangle because A plus B is bigger than C. So since we now know it's a triangle, we're going to go back to our Pythagorean theorem converse, which is right here. Remember how we said A squared plus B squared equals C squared? If that's true, then it's a right triangle. If it's bigger than C squared, then it's acute. And if it's smaller than C squared, then it's obtuse. So before I put up this is what you're going to write, Pythagorean theorem converse, as your reasons. But I want you to see what's happening here. We have 3 squared plus 8 squared is something to 10 squared. Well, we do all the squareds, and we end up with 9 plus 64 is something to 100. Now we can say 73 is less than 100. And since this is true, we look at the converse, right? We say a squared plus b squared is less than c squared. That means that it's an obtuse triangle. All that came because of the Pythagorean theorem converse. We're going to do one more just like that. We say Margot, or Margot, probably Margot, declares the triangle has sides of lengths square root of 7, square root of 24, and square root of 25. All right, we got to decide, is it a triangle? So we don't really know exactly what the square root of 7 is, but we know it's somewhere between 2 and 3, right? Because the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 4 is 2, so it's somewhere between there. 24 is really close to 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. But even if we did halfway betweens, we'd still say that 2.5 plus 4.5 is way bigger than 5. So we know it's a triangle based on the triangle inequality. Okay, we got this far just based on triangle inequality. Now we've got to determine if or what kind of triangle it is. So we take the squared. Remember the triangle converse we did, the Pythagorean theorem converse? We take that and we say square root of 7 squared is just 7. The square root of 24 squared is just 24. The square root of 25 squared is 25. So we start plugging each of those in. And we say, oh, goodness. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. Right here, I have square root of 7 becomes 7. Square root of 24 squared is 24. Add those two together, we end up with 31 is greater than 25. Since that statement is true, we've got to come down here and use that in the converse. So we say a squared plus b squared is bigger than c squared. Off of your cheat sheet, you'll find that means it's acute. Our final answer is acute. The reasons over here are what you write on your notes. This is what you actually do on your homework. Okay? All right, right here we said find the geometric mean. Geometric mean is also on our cheat sheet right here by mid-segment. Geometric mean of AB is square root of AB. Again, notice, everything's on your cheat sheet. If it says geometric mean and you have no clue what geometric mean is, that's fine. Just scan the sheet until you see geometric mean, and that will tell you what to do. This means we do the square root of A times B. I come over here, I got my formula. Great. I know what A and B are. I know what my two values are, 22 and 44. I plug those in where they go. and I say the square root of 22 times 44. Well, now we just got to simplify the rest of it. I can take 22 times 44 and then work it out, or I can just simply split this to be 11 and 4 times 11. Now I've got a pair of 11s. So I take the pair of 11s out, and I end up with 11 times the root of 2 and 4. Well, 4 can also come out, because that can split to be a 2 and a 2. I can take that pair out. So then I end up with 11 times 2 times root 2. Well, 11 times 2 is 22, and then I'm left with 2 root 22. This one you must simplify to smallest terms. You must make sure you get as much out of the square root as possible. Okay? So now if we talk about the geometric mean between 9 and 16, notice here, the same process. I use the formula, I plug in a 9 and a 16 there, and I end up with the square root of 9 times 16. Well, 9 can split to be 3 and 3, so I can circle the 3's and pull them out. 16 splits to be 4 and 4, so I can circle the 4's and pull them out. And I'm left with nothing left inside of the square root. So I just have 3 times 4, which is 12. You could also times 9 and 16, and guess what that equals? 144. And the square root of 144 is 12. Just a little hint. Either way you want to go about it. The last step is simplify. Again, this is what you do in your notes. This is what you do on the homework. This is all done perfectly for you in your notes. If you ever get stuck, turn back to your notes. They're all there for you. Okay, what is the sum of the interior angles of a convex quadrilateral? All right, we're talking about polygon interior and exterior angles. Look at that. The sum of the measures of the interior angles of a convex polygon with n sides. Right there. It's written for you on the cheat sheet. It's done for you. The sum of the exterior angles is also right there. So now, of a convex quadrilateral. Quadrilateral means a four-sided shape, right? Just like a quad has 4 tires, your little four-wheeler has 4 wheels. It's called a quad for a reason. So now that we know it's got 4 sides, we use that and we plug it into our formula. We substitute. N is 4. How many sides it has? So we say 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 180 is 360. So the sum of the measure of the interior angles is 360 degrees for a quadrilateral. If we did the exterior angles, remember how that one was nice and easy? It was always 360. The exterior angles is always 360. So just formula. The only reason for that one. So don't forget that one. Exterior angles, always 360. Okay. Moving on to a little bit of a review on sine, cosine, and tangent. All right, if I give you this on your homework, I've already labeled it opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. All you have to do is plug it in. So I'm given this part. I have to use my formulas off of my cheat sheet right here, trig ratios. I'm using all of these off my cheat sheet. So sine of A equals opposite of hypotenuse, cosine, that all comes from the formulas. I've got 3 different formulas, sine, cosine, and tangent. Now, if I plug in the opposite hypotenuse values, notice here, opposite, what? 3 centimeters. So I plug it in. Hypotenuse, that's 5 centimeters. I plug it in. All right. And I just go down, 3 over 5, 4 over 5, 3 over 4, all the way down. So make sure you get these written in to your notes. This is 10.4. Make sure you summarize and fill in the rest of your notes. So we should be completely finished with 10.1 and 10.4 and 10.2. So we have 3 sections down out of all of them. Let's see if I can pull up a calendar so I can see what we're talking about here. Probably not. I think I deleted them all. Yep. So if I've got 3 sections down, Monday we'll come back and we'll start on 10.3. So Monday, prepare for 10.3. You can start looking it over now in your notes and your homework. You can also work on 10.6. Okay, that's also another review section. It's all about ratios. Okay, 4 over 3 is a ratio. Not a big deal. Yeah, work on 10.6, and also we'll have class on Monday at maybe 10.3. There's your review. Please get working on your worksheet for 10.4.